I want to talk about this fat loss because we're in a world now of Ozempic where it's all about weight loss. And there's a
Mhm.
big difference between weight loss and fat loss. Throw away your bathroom scale. We need to look at our muscle, water, and our fat. And there's all of these trends, and I know Dr. Stacy Sims has debunked so much, and you follow her mantras. But as far as the fasting, as far as keto, as far as cardio, I mean, there is a place for cardio, but going to Orange Theory and then going to a hot yoga strength class is not good for a perimenopausal woman. And I remember when I've always been an athlete, but midlife, when I was being told, no, just do your weights and for 45 minutes, that's good. I always felt like, well, because I didn't sweat, I needed to go for a run or I needed to go do something else, which is
Yeah.
not necessarily the truth. So what are the fundamentals and what are the myths about fat loss, not weight loss, and what you're teaching?
Okay. So a lot of women, I don't know if your audience listening, if this is common knowledge, but from the women that I get it, it's not. There's a big difference, like you said, between weight loss and fat loss. And when I'm taking somebody into what I call a fat loss phase, we are desperately trying to keep and maintain any of the lean muscle mass that we have because it's usually the first thing to go. It's the most expensive tissue in the body and it's the easiest to pull from. And so at this stage of life, it's also really hard as we're hitting this menopausal transition, give or take, whatever, 5 years, 7 years. If you're postmenopausal, it's really hard, not impossible, but it's more difficult to hang on and build muscle at this age. And we
Mhm.
definitely can, but it has to be strategic. And if we're going into a fat loss phase, which is how we have to lose body fat, like we have to be in a calorie deficit, we have to do it the right way. So really laying out the non-negotiables would be what I would say. And that is resistance training has to be a part of your program. Ideally, the research shows 3 days is pretty ideal, but you could probably get away with 2 days. One day is usually not enough of strength training, but you're looking at roughly about 3 days of consistent, not heavy, like max strength lifting. I mean, it could, but more in that hypertrophy range because we're looking at volume and total volume in the weights room when we're in a calorie deficit. And so we get more volume with the hypertrophy kind of 8 to 12-ish reps, somewhere in that range. And so we lay out the strength training and then we look at cardio on the other days. And ideally, we're having this female move 6 days a week. That's not totally realistic for everyone. So then I say, okay, cool. What can you commit to? And then let's program from there. So if somebody said I can only do 5 days, I'm not giving up my 3 strength training days. I would
Right.
cut out a cardio day and do 2 cardio days. What does the cardio look like? So then that's the other conversation of what does it look like? We hear Dr. Stacy Sims and some of these other female scientists say that we need this polarized training, which is very true. And we need that super high intensity followed by bringing your heart rate back down and then revving the engine back up. So that's what we call high intensity interval training. I lump the sprint interval training in there. It's just a shorter duration, but it's in the same family of interval training. So I will always add that in to a female's program as well. How much? Depends on how much time, like how many days somebody is exercising, as we said before. Ideally, maybe 2 days of hit and then one day of that steady state zone 2 low intensity. And I like to use that form of cardio one day a week in a fat loss phase because these women are already working with fewer calories to support
Mhm.
their training and their body. And so it's a great recovery day. So one day a week is a full rest day. And then the other day, ideally, if you're following the 6-day schedule, this other day is they don't have to go completely destroy themselves in the gym or in these hit sessions, which are just require a bigger recovery penalty. because they're harder. They tax more systems, where low intensity steady state is easy to, you can recover within maybe 2 hours after you finish that. So I like adding that in 1 day a week and then having those 2 HIIT sessions. Now, obviously that can be tailored to whatever the client and the female needs. But that's kind of how we educate in my courses. That's like the winning formula that really seems to work for a lot of women, because you're kind of getting into these different areas. You have strength training, and then you have some high intensity, and then you have 1 day where you can just chill and like go on a ride with your friends, or go on a walk with your friends, or a hike or whatever. So those are really the non-negotiables when we look at trying to maintain and hold on to our muscle while we're in a calorie deficit, which again is needed to lose some of that body fat. Now, the caveat would be, ideally, women aren't always in this fat loss phase. And that's the other issue, is you will have women that kind of get in this cycle where they don't know the last time they haven't, quote unquote, been dieting. And that can be really damaging for our hormones and our metabolism as we age as well. So if somebody's coming to me, it doesn't matter who it is, I'm going to ask, how much time do you have in a week, realistically, that you can do, and then how do we get you in, do this fat loss phase well, and get you the heck out, so that we can really spend the majority of the year building muscle. And it's there are outliers, because I'm trying to foresee the questions. The outliers are, well, what if, I gain muscle really easy? And there are a few people, there is a small percentage of women that do. They have that build, they have that genetic makeup where they might put on fat and muscle a little bit easier than maybe someone that has more of a very thin build and been thin all of their life. So, it's ideal to, most women won't have to deal with that though. Most women are going to be really pushing hard to maintain or even slightly gain in the muscle mass field. It's not easy.
No, it's not easy. I try to do it every single day. And I do have ways of doing it. We use accelerated aminos, and you also need to make sure that your liver is being taken care of and detox, because your body does its fat burning and muscle building in your liver. And then your thyroid, of course, has to be optimized, because just like you're saying, chronic dieting is putting the body in that stress survival mode where your body shut down its metabolism. And I don't care how many calories you think you're burning or how many hours you're in the gym, you're not going to lose any weight, any fat.
No.
And your body says, I'm just going to start attacking my muscle, because that's what I know how to do, and eat it. And I tell my young girls all the time, I go, you take care of that expensive muscle that you've built up in these teenage years, because it
Yeah.
is hard to keep when you get older. And it's so sad when you see these women that want to lose 10 to 20 pounds. They just look at the scale and they're losing that expensive muscle. They're not supporting that muscle while going through that fat loss phase. And they're doing the chronic cardio and they're wiped out.
Yeah.
And they're not eating enough, and then they're reaching for the wine at night because they're stressed and they're tired. And so it's this vicious cycle where you're not getting the energy. I mean, the whole goal is to have energy in life so you can feel good and enjoy life, right? That's the purpose.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's not so much about looking good in a bathing suit quite as much in your 40s and 50s as it was when I mean, we all want to, but
Yeah.
that would not be, I mean, most of us would say pain and energy are more important at this stage in life than the other. But it takes all of these different factors, and it's not just about calories in, calories